So from previous lessons, you know that the more specific the find criteria you enter in FileMaker's find mode, the narrower the search, which will mean that fewer records will be returned. If you enter a longer search string into a field in find mode, or if you enter a search string into more than one field, FileMaker will use the additional information to perform a more conservative search, returning only the records that match all the information you've entered. But what if you need to widen the search instead, to include more results than any one criterion will locate? FileMaker lets you do that as well. When I performed a find in the publications layout and entered the letter K into the author last name field, FileMaker returned 4 records. They were the records with Kipling, Kirk, Kelly and Kersler in the author last name field. But what if I want to locate publications written by authors with names starting with one of several different letters? The first thing to do when looking to widen a search to have it locate additional records is to consider the various operators that are available. For example, if I use the range operator, I can ask FileMaker to locate any records that have a value in the author last name field starting with any letter of the alphabet in the range from, say, K to S. Now you can see that FileMaker has returned 6 records in the found set, and we have Kipling, Kirk, Lynch, Kelly, Rayner and Kersler. So the records for books written by Lynch and Rayner have been included now because those author last names start with letters in the range from K through to S. However, if I want to tailor the find still further, let's say I just want the search results to include publications by authors with names beginning with K and R, but not all the letters of the alphabet in between. One way to do that would be to have FileMaker apply 2 separate sets of find criteria simultaneously. Let's look at how that works. In find mode, I'll first enter the criterion of a K, name starting with K, into the author last name field as before. Now I'll use the New Request button on the status toolbar to create a second find request. Notice that we're still in find mode and our original find request with a K in the author last name field is still visible on the screen. Now I can enter an R as the criterion in the second find request. And when I click the Perform Find button, the find is applied and 5 records are returned. All the records with an author last name starting with K, and also all the records with an author last name starting with R. Multi-find requests can be quite powerful, as well as having FileMaker locate a group of records that meet any of several sets of criteria and return them as a found set, as I've just done here. You can also have the second or subsequent find requests modify the effect of earlier requests. I'll go back into find mode and create the find request that looks for author last name values starting with K. Now I'll create a second request and ask FileMaker to omit rather than match records that commence with KI in the author last name field. Now the 2 requests are going to operate in sequence. Request number 1 will locate all of the records with an author last name commencing with K. Request number 2 will omit all of those records in the found set, that is, the set returned from the application of the first request, where the author's last name starts with KI. So we'll be left with only those publication records where the author's last name starts with K, but not KI. So in this case, only 2 records have been returned, Kelly and Kersler, with the KI records, Kipling and Kirk, omitted from the found set. Although I've only used 2 requests for the example finds I've performed here, you can in fact stack up as many as you need in order to perform quite complex finds where later requests are added or subtracted from the earlier find requests according to whether you select the include or omit option for each of the requests as you're setting up the find criteria.